Welcome to the Trailblazers podcast, a space where we have real conversations with people who are creating their own unique path and helping others get inspired to pave their own. And today we are talking about something we all experience. It's one of the most critical and dangerous emotions as well. It's nothing but anger. Not just reacting to it, but understanding what's really going on. In this episode, I'm in conversation with Dr. Saurabh Patil, a speaker, a coach, entrepreneur, and author of The Alchemy of Anger. We talk about his journey, the setbacks, the turning points, and how that led him to the work he does today. And more importantly, how we can start noticing our triggers, pause, and respond a little differently. If you have ever felt triggered or found yourself reacting in ways you later question, this episode will definitely resonate with you. Stay tuned to the Trailblazers podcast. Thank you. Welcome, everyone, to the Trailblazers podcast, where we bring in real stories of people who are not just following a path, but they are creating their own. Today, we are going to have you meet an awesome guest, Dr. Saurabh Patil, who's going to talk about a very important emotion and what to do and what not to do. And we are going to have a live conversation with him. So I'm so excited to have you meet Dr. Saurabh Patil. So before we go into the conversation, I would like to share a few words about him. Saurabh is a speaker, a coach, and author of The Alchemy of Anger, an awesome book. He's also an entrepreneur. So he's going to share real time stories of how he built his businesses. And also, in parallel, he speaks around the world and he coaches and he conducts workshops. So here we are with Dr. Saurabh Patel. And welcome to the show, Saurabh. It's an awesome pleasure to have you, and it's my privilege to have you on this podcast. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me here, Sandhya, and thank you for inviting me. It's a great pleasure to come here to have this amazing conversation with you.
Sure. So, Saurabh, so good to have you here. Let's start off with where this journey into this special SPR, your framework, and all of that has started. And we're going to talk about it more. But before we go there, I know you've been through multiple resets in your life, and I was hearing about it multiple times, and I was reading about your story. What inspired me was how you came out of it, and you have built a framework around it, right? So, can you explain to us like where it all started in your own words?
Yes, I always had a short temperament to start with. As a kid, as I grew up, I never realized it, but it always came out in the form of anger, and it always came out in the form of triggers that affected me. And I started realizing this pretty lately during COVID. And then I thought it is just me. I thought it is just the triggers, or I thought it is just the frustration. But eventually, I noticed a pattern within myself. And then I noticed a pattern with a lot of other people, men, women, everything, especially men. And it started affecting people around me. It started affecting my newly born daughters during COVID. That is when I realized that this has to be broken. The pattern has to be broken. And 2021 saw me getting into coaching, into mentoring, coaching, NLP, and everything. And that is where I actually tried to understand my own self, where this anger is coming from, how is it shaping me, what is the source of this? And that is where I started working on myself about the anger. The moment I started working on myself, especially with anger, I noticed this pattern with a lot of men. That anger is pretty common emotion, ignored, but yet very frequently shown, very frequently used. In fact, anger is something which is more suppressed than, you know, shown or exposed. So that is where I started coaching. I started understanding the source of anger, side effects of anger, triggers, how the triggers work on your body, what it has done to me, what it does to people. That is where the journey of coaching people on anger, how to, teach them to use it, making them understand that it's a good emotion rather than a bad emotion, how to work on your triggers, how to regulate your nervous system. All this began once I understood the concept of how anger can be a good emotion and how you can use it to fuel yourself.
Wow, it's amazing. And I can connect a lot with what you're saying. Um, I can share transparently that, I'm not proud about my short temper as well. And especially when you were when you are into so many things, and then people are like um, getting you into that. It's I've been realizing that it is not the people around you, but rather you need to focus on your inner self and all of that. So I'm pretty sure by the end of the conversation, I hope I can get some tips where I can use it for myself. So I'm definitely looking forward to dig deeper into it. Um, so before 2020, I know you mentioned that you had issues with short temper even before that, right? Is there any like defining moment where you felt like, oh my God, somebody got hurt because of my trigger? Um, was there anything like that? Something that happened that really pushed you into this journey?
There were a lot of such incidents where, I mean, every time I would say I calmed down after my anger, I felt that guilty conscious. I felt that guilt inside me, and that guilt stayed with me for a lot of days. There were so many incidences where people got hurt physically, people got hurt mentally because of my anger. I used to break things when I was angry. I used to break mirrors, glasses. I used to shout literally at the top of my voice. Even I used to say things which I didn't even mean, I didn't even intend to say, which are not even related to the conversation, but just came out because I couldn't control my temper. I couldn't control my speech, my words when I was triggered. I mean, practically, I literally broke a coffee table. I literally broke. If you read my book, The Alchemy of Anger, there is an incident where when I was, I think it was 1999 or something, 8 or 9. When in anger, I just punched the mirror and the mirror broke, and my mom was literally shattered and upset at the same time, angry. I had a lot of fights with my wife. Um, Even immediately after marriage, where a lot of times the first year of marriage is like a honeymoon period. Couple enjoy their courtship, they enjoy their time together, where we used to fight. In fact, I used to fight with her. So there were so many incidents that actually had an impact on others. They were hurt mentally, they were hurt emotionally because of me. And every time I used to cool down after my anger, I felt that guilty conscious. I felt that guilt inside me, which used to make me feel bad about what happened. I mean, it's like you are sitting in a auto drive car. You know the car is driving. You know the car is out of control. The only thing you can do is feel bad, but cannot do anything. Just hope and pray that the car stops. My anger used to be in similar way. I could see I'm speaking, I'm talking anything. I could see I'm flaring out. I could see I'm throwing things. I'm feeling that trigger inside my body. My body is getting heated up. I'm getting anxious. My heart is pumping. I could feel that. But at the same time, I couldn't stop it. I just hoped that it would stop. So that was the time when things usually went out of control very quickly. And the only thing I was left with a guilt in my mind that why did that happen?
Wow, believable. I mean, I've known you for the last almost 1.5, 2 years. I've seen you at PS's events, and we are all, I mean, both are part of the PSAI, Professional Speakers Association of India. I never would have thought of you being angry. Trust me. I mean, like, you're like the coolest, soft spoken. I can't imagine, right? I mean, the appearances. And a lot of people actually even think of me also that, oh, I'm so cool, I'm like so calm, but I'm not. And I can share that. And I can share that with you. Definitely not. Um,
But you know
so,
what they say, the stagnant water runs deep.
so a lot of people don't know about my anger side. So yeah, it's interesting. And I mean, not to the level that you have mentioned, but yeah, I've had my anger episodes. Um, oh God. So tell me more. Like, mentioned that you had always had a short temper while growing up or teenage. When did you realize that it is something way above average?
Uh, I realized it post-COVID when my daughters were born. So, COVID, just before the first lockdown, me and my wife got our daughters home. She just delivered two girls, I think 7 days before the first day of the lockdown. Yeah. So, yeah, the 6 months were pretty okay, but eventually my temper started creating an atmosphere of an unhealthy environment around us, and because of which, as my daughters grew, they used to cry when I used to get angry. So this happened one or two times, which made me feel that this is something not right. I have two small girls at home who are growing, beautiful girls, keeping the environment happy. Having two newly born girls, the atmosphere at home is so nice. It's so happy. Everyone is enjoying their time. They kill all the stress. Kids are basically stress busters. So everyone is enjoying, and in the middle of that, if I'm getting angry, if I'm shouting at the top of my voice, everybody's getting worried. My daughters are getting irritated and crying because kids don't know how to react on this. So that I saw that hurt in their eyes. I saw them crying, and that literally put me again into that guilt. And this guilt was much more than the guilt I felt in the last few years. This guilt really pushed me to think that something has to change. Things have to change. This cannot go on forever. I cannot raise my daughters like this with me getting angry, because the way they'll experience trauma, the way they will grow up, they'll understand that normalizing anger, especially by father, is completely normal. They'll also attract partners who are getting angry quickly, who get triggered, and that will also hamper uh, their future relationship. All these things kept coming to my mind when this was in 2020. And that is when I decided that this has to stop. Something has to be done on this.
So, in a way, it was a blessing in disguise from
Yeah,
the
I
universe
can say.
through your lovely daughters. I'm sure they're like 6 years now. So,
Yeah, there's six.
what a journey! What a journey, Saurabh. I'm so proud of you. I've seen you speak on the global stages, seen you like, launch your book, all those fun, proud moments. And tell me about the framework that you have built in this journey, SPR.
Yeah, so first thing, I did not have a framework when I joined PSAI. I did not have a niche. The only thing I used to talk about is men's mental health. Everyone who used to ask me, what do you do? What do you speak on? What do you coach on? I said men's mental health. But then one day when I was having a conversation with a couple of PSAI people, especially Anupriya and Narendra Brahmankar from Mumbai, they said you need to have a micro niche. Having a niche is okay, but men's mental health is just a vague niche. And that is when I realized that yes, something has to be much more deeper, much more specific, much more intense. that is when I worked with Srijata as well, and we actually came out with something called as SPR. So how SPR came? So when you get angry or when you get triggered, you first get triggered basically, and that trigger comes into your body, and your body starts reacting to the trigger, which goes to your mind, and then your mind gets angry, and then you get angry. That's how it is. So basically, you have a gap of 3 to 5 seconds or a couple of seconds before you react to the trigger or you get angry. Anything you do or everything you do has to be done within that gap. So I needed a framework which would work around this gap. And after a lot of brainstorm, we came up with this thing that you have to stop yourself. You have to take a break and understand that this is a gap. You have two options, you have two roads in front of you. One, where you react and you get angry. Second, you calm yourself and approach with a better rational mindset to that situation. And then you restart. So this conversation, and it's funny that because I was into healthcare before COVID, we used to deal with a lot of CPR procedures, especially with skill labs, simulators. CPR is basically resuscitating, helping someone come back when they are almost unconscious or dead. So that is how we came across something called as SPR, where the SPR is you stop when you feel you getting triggered in the body, you pause for those 3 to 5 seconds to calm your mind, and then you restart with a rational approach where how you have either you have to react or you have to respond to the situation. Because if you don't pause, you will react. But if you
Right.
pause and have a rational mindset, you will respond to the situation.
That's brilliant. So from
Yeah.
CPR, SPR, and
Yeah.
wow, I mean, I heard of SPR, but I didn't know that. Oh, there's a connection between CPR and SPR. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Brilliant. So that actually reminds me about your entrepreneurial journey. I was reading about your backstory of how you wanted to become a pilot, and then that didn't turn out, um, and you came into healthcare business, and now you own restaurants in Mumbai, and at the same time you're working on your passion area. Right? Can you tell me about how this entrepreneurial journey started and how you were managing with your triggers and all of these emotions?
Yeah. So I always dreamed of becoming an Air Force pilot as a kid. I used to have pictures in my room. I had even written it somewhere in my small cupboard or wardrobe when I was a kid. Saurabh Patil, Wing Commander, Indian Air Force, or something like that. I'd even written it to manifest it. But unfortunately, when I applied for NDA, when I applied for the exam, on the same day when I was getting my approval, there was some problem with my eyes. I couldn't read, I couldn't see far away things. So I approached a doctor. And then he said that you're having a vision issue, so you'll have to wear specs. This is a number you're going to have. And that literally shattered me because if you have to go into Air Force, you need a 6 by 6 vision. That literally shattered me. And after that, I did not have a vision. I did not have a goal because all my life, the only thing I dreamt was to become a pilot. I used to collect plane models, die-cast models at home. They're still there with me. Everything shattered in my life. I did not have an alternate plan. I did not have a contingency. I did not have any other goal in life. The only thing I continued was a path which my then parents suggested: do engineering, do MBA, take up a job, and I just went with the flow.
The traditional path.
But yeah, the traditional part, engineer, become an engineer, get an MBA, get up a job, then get married and everything. So the traditional path, because I did not have anything in my mind, I did not even know what next to choose. So let it come as it is. But 2020 saw me revisit my life, that there is something has to be done, that, either I should follow my passion or I should continue with something else, because then I had no job. Even my healthcare company had to be went bankrupt. So I thought, let's revisit myself. What our passion is, what is my passion? What am I supposed to do in life? Or is it just continue like this? So that is when two of my passions started taking shape. One is food, where I started my cafe in 2020. So I was always a foodie. Whenever I used to travel, I used to try new cuisines, even in India, outside India, in every country, explore new restaurants, places. 2020 saw me, along with my childhood friends, come up with a cafe of our own. The passion of foodie turning into business. And 2022 saw me becoming a speaker because I got my first paid assignment from one of the banks in India. That is how the journey started. But passion is something which looks very rosy and filmy from outside. But turning into business, addressing day-to-day challenges, reaching that goal you want is again a different story. So, yes, the only thing I understand, when there were a lot of challenges, it used to affect me emotionally, it used to trigger me. The only thing I used to understand is this is a situation which needs a solution. Nobody is my enemy. Nobody is fighting with me. I'm not fighting with anyone. We are fighting with the situation, and the solution is always there. We just need to look at it. Any situation that came to me or any challenge that came to me, I wouldn't react immediately. I would take a break. I would take a break till my mind used to calm down or my body used to calm down. And then I used to think, and then I used to sit with it, and then I used to respond. Of course, in hospitality, there are a lot of challenges which needs immediate action. For that, the only thing worked was keeping myself calm. The pressure.
That's just such an amazing story, Saurabh. And so, have you started applying your own SPR framework in the last few years whenever you kind of like identify a trigger?
Yes, I have. In fact, it's now coming as a default in my reaction, in my body, in my mind. So the moment I came up with the framework, I started applying it. I mean, as easy as it sounds, it almost took me 6 months or a year to get used to my framework being used by me. And there were a couple of times I lost control. There were a couple of times couldn't use my framework because I lost control of myself, the anger. And then I realized, oh, I should have thought it through. I should have taken the pause. I should have used SPR. There were times when this, but now, yes, it's become a default behavior for me where any triggers or any situation comes my way, my mind and my body goes into that SPR mode.
So it has become part of your DNA now,
Yeah.
work that you have done. And so, what are the after effects that you started noticing in your personal life, professional life, after you have started, for the last couple of years? What is a professional and personal success that you have seen?
Okay, so to start with, the people around seemed much happier. I mean, the people around felt much better approaching me. The people around me, especially my personal life, people around me started feeling much better around me. We used started having conversations. Even they felt at peace because my trigger used to trigger them. They used to react. I used to react. Then it used to. We all used to end up in a fight, especially me and my wife. So we have started having good conversations, long conversations. We would understand each other. We would approach each other in a way to find a solution rather than, think who's right, who's wrong. The environment is better. My daughters have also started approaching me. My daughters have also started responding to situations than reacting, because in an environment where you are reacting, in an environment where you are there are continuous fights, intense fights, verbal spats. Your kids also learn to adapt to it, and that changed in professional life. Uh, of course, I used to. It was good to find solutions. Solutions came easy, but at the same time, things stopped affecting me. I mean, initially, I used to get triggered and I used to feel angry why this is not happening, why that is not happening. Why isn't people, why isn't the situation coming through? Why aren't people responding this way?
Yeah.
And it used to always feel that, yeah, it's everyone's fault. But then the moment I started using SPR, the moment I used to be calm, I used to understand what is the source of the problem, how people are responding, how people are reacting, especially your team members. And then it was easy for to guide them or align them on how to approach the situation or the problem with a solution rather than blame them. Because sometimes blaming is not good. In fact, blaming only puts them into a introspection where they would think, okay, what have we have done everything right, but it's not working. What do we do? But understanding where the source is, understanding their thought process actually helps you to take them through the situation.
And as you were mentioning, since I'm also into coaching, this anger issue comes up quite significantly, especially in top leaders, CXOs. And a lot of times it is probably like a submerged issue, as you know. And I know you work very closely with a lot of CXO level executives. So, what are your discoveries as you started applying this framework? How do you approach them? I mean, how do you tell them, okay, do you want to try something like this? And yeah, just if you could share something like that.
Yeah. So at CXO level, there is a lot of pressure from work. There is a lot of pressure on decision making because your decision making affects you, your team, your company outcomes in terms of revenue, growth, everything. And at CXO level, there is a lot of pressure, not just professionally but personally as well. You have to balance your personal life. You have to balance your professional life. Anything that goes wrong into the professional life gets the burst is sometimes in your personal life. You're too busy maneuvering through your professional and personal life where uh, you're not able to give enough time to your family at the same time balance your work. So there is a lot of imbalance, and in a professional life at the level of a CXO, sometimes you don't even have a split second to take a decision. Forget about SPR. SPR can be used in certain space, but there are times when CXOs just need a split second to take a decision so that it saves them from that situation. They find a solution, and the situation is handled. So there are times when you don't have enough time to even use SPR or take a 5 second, 10 second, 1 minute pause. But for such situations, your mind has to be trained. For such situations, you need to be calm. So it has to be, I mean, it has to be worked with a mindset. It takes some of the coaching sessions to go through their mindset, to understand their mindset, because taking a pause, rethinking the problem sometimes is taken as a sign of weakness. Any leader under pressure today thinks that they have to take a quick decision and move on, quick decision and move on, finish it, finish it, finish it, rather than, behavior.
Maybe you might be having 10 triggers, I might be having like 100 triggers, which I had been like working on. But it's so interesting to have a discussion about such a fundamental emotion which can shape you or which can break you, right? And I'm so happy to have this conversation with you today, Saurabh, and I hope it sparks a conversation with so many people who are shying away from this very important emotion that can help us in many ways, not just us, but everybody around us. I'm so glad that we had this conversation today. And thank you so very much for joining me on this podcast. And I'm sure waiting for the next conversation where we are going to probably deep dive into some of these aspects even more. Thank you again, Saurabh. And thank you all, viewers. I hope this sparked a thought, an idea, and a conversation. For more details, stay in touch with us, and then hope you reach out to Saurabh for more insights, for more, interesting, meaningful aspects that we all can deep dive into. Thank you so much for joining us today.